Welcome to Engineering Culture, where we discuss how to build a culture through teamwork, accountability, and competitive greatness with thought leaders, that is coaches, superintendents, principals, all of those things. We are Engineering Culture. Joining me this time, I'm I don't know if blessed is the right word, but we'll go with very fortunate to have Coach McDermott from Creighton join me for this conversation. Coach, thank you for your time. Appreciate you spending a few minutes here.
You spent a lot of time with me, so I don't know that fortunate is the correct word either. Like, you're going to have to suffer through this like you usually have to when you and I sit together at some recruiting event.
Most of the time, yeah. Okay. So the three basic questions I'm asking everyone, let's just start with the first one. Define culture. What does culture mean to you, in a sports, landscape?
It's tricky to define because I think it encompasses so many things. But to me, culture is it's who you are. It's what you stand for. It's what's acceptable, and probably most importantly, it's every day. And it's I think culture is part of every decision that we make in our program in terms of who to add, who to try to attract to your program, who to hire, and then how to treat certain situations that happen during the course of a college season and a practice season and off season. Getting your guys to understand that standing for something bigger than yourself is a big part of to me what culture is all about. And obviously in the world of social media that we live in, people oftentimes post a lot of things about themselves. And I'd like to think that our guys understand that, being a good teammate is a really important part of our culture, and celebrating your teammates' successes is an important part of what we do as well. So that's something we talk about all the time. Make sure you're a guy that you would like to be a teammate with. And I think if you can drill that into guys who they are and what they're about, that in the end you have an organization that functions pretty well because you've surrounded yourself with a group of people that are willing to put others first. And at the end of the day, that's what really culture is all about.
What you guys, I just want to stick with your program. It feels like in recent years you guys have, the move to the Big East, it feels like forever ago, but you guys have sort of leveled up as far as just expectations and play and all of that. What do you kind of hang your hat on? Is there something that, like, why have you kind of now, the expectation level is pretty high every year in and year out?
Well, we're in an unbelievable community that really supports us, number one. And we have the support of the university from a facility standpoint and resource standpoint. We play in a beautiful arena and it's full. So, in my mind, there's a lot of people that have gone above their means to try to support us and help us to have an opportunity to be successful. So we have an obligation to them to put the best possible product on the floor that we absolutely possibly can. And I just think the people that support us have an expectation not only of they'd like to be successful, absolutely, but I also think people in Omaha and the Creighton fan base really, they care about how our guys act and how they present themselves and how they represent themselves, their families, our basketball family, Creighton University, and the Omaha community as a whole. So, there's that goes into our thinking every single day, and that's part of what keeps us motivated to do the job that we do. But the Big East has gotten better, and obviously if we want to stay relevant, and if you're going to do that, you've got to work pretty hard to make sure you have the pieces in place to be successful. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm I'm fortunate that I've been able to surround myself with some really good people, both my coaching staff, support staff, and of course the guys on my roster.
Mm-hmm. How do you build a sustainable program? Because you guys, like I kind of mentioned, you've sustained pretty good success here recently. What's important, or what goes into building that sustainable program?
It's an interesting question, Mike. We just had a event for NIL the other night, where similar to a Midnight Madness event. And after the event, one of my players' parents, and I won't say who, walked up to me and said, "Mac, what is your secret sauce?" And I looked at him and I'm like, you know what? I'm 57 years old. I've been coaching 34 years and nobody's ever asked me that question. So I had to think a second, and I answered. I said, I really think that I'd learned early in my career, because of the people that I had an opportunity to play for and work for, the importance of surrounding yourself with the right kind of people. And obviously, I've made some good choices in that regard, because I have 5 or 6 of them that are now head coaches at this level. But if you surround yourself with good people and people that truly care about the young people that we coach, and that are not just sitting in an assistant coach's chair because they're looking to get to the next spot. I've been fortunate to really hire young people and guys that have been in the profession that they make the big time where they are, and that's the job that they're doing on that particular day. And I think if your coaching staff and your support staff thinks that way, like what can I do to make the lives of the young people that we coach better? And sometimes they need a hug, sometimes they need a kick in the rear to remind them that we can't take a day off. That's really, really important to me. And as we go out and we recruit and we try to decide who best fits our program, certainly there's a athletic and skill component to that. But there's also, what are you made of? What are you all about? And how do you treat your brothers and sisters? How do you react to a referee's bad call? What's the relationship with you and your coaching staff at the high school level? Those things are really important to us. And I think if you bring the right people, like-minded people that have a great work ethic, that understand, that have a tremendous desire to be successful, and probably most importantly, understand what it takes to be successful, the amount of work and sacrifice that it takes for that to happen. And I'm not going to coach knuckleheads anymore. But that ship has sailed, and I really want to work with people on a daily basis that I really enjoy being around. And you've been around a program, Mike, and I think you understand we don't take ourselves too seriously. There's enough pressure of trying to perform in front of 18,000 people and be successful on a nightly basis. We try not to bring that pressure into our practice facility. We want to have some fun. We laugh at each other. We laugh at ourselves. And I just think that in this day and age, because of the pressures that come with social media and the world of instant gratification that we live in, I think some coaches coach the joy right out of the game. And that's really sad to me. Myself and all these young guys that I've had the good fortune to coach, they started playing the game because they love the game of basketball. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be the best versions of themselves if they continue to love the game of basketball. And I certainly don't want to be the guy that takes that joy from them. I hopefully want to teach them other ways to see joy in the game. And one of those is to be able to really be excited about celebrating a teammate's success. And, that can be as joyful as celebrating your own success, because it's really a lonely spot if you're a successful player and nobody around really appreciates and celebrates your success. That probably tells you what type of a teammate you are. So I think it's about the people, and I think culture is about people. And we've been blessed at Creighton the 13 years I've been here to just have some wonderful, wonderful people that have, worked by my side. And I'd like to think that they feel like they work with me more than for me. And, I try to empower the people that I work with and try to empower our players. They're the ones that are out there. They're the ones that see things on the court. I'd be foolish not to ask their opinion and make sure that they're included in some of the decisions we make as a program.
You kind of touched on it, so I'm not going to maybe harp too much on it, but prioritizing being a good human throughout the recruiting process sounds like it's pretty important to you.
Yeah, it's a primary importance, and really, if I don't feel like someone is a good culture fit, we're going to move on to someone else, and that it might mean that the person we moved on to, maybe from a ability, talent standpoint, the ceiling isn't quite as high. But I just think if you have a group of people that are, they're all moving the right direction, and they're all they have a common goal as to what they want to achieve, and they're willing to sacrifice some personal maybe agendas to allow the team to be successful. That's how I think we have our best chance to have the level of success that we want to have. And, you got to check your ego at the door. And, I've got several people that work for me that have absolutely no agenda for themselves. They are worried about, how can I make Coach Mack's life easier today? How can I help Coach Huss or Coach Miller or Coach Courtney Williams? And, that type of approach, I also think it's contagious. And our players see that. And I think that makes our job easier as coaches to get our guys to play, for each other the best that we possibly can.
And last one here before I let you go. Who do you think you learned from the most in your basketball career?
Mike, I don't know that you can point to one person, because I really believe we're all of us are a collection of our experiences, right? And I had some incredible experiences growing up. My mom lost her first husband in a car accident. She lost a child that was 3 days old, my younger brother, and my dad lost his arm in a farm accident. Our farm was almost totally destructed by a tornado when I was 7 or 8 years old. And watching your parents navigate adversity and not allow that adversity, even though from an individual standpoint, it was so significant and had to be so difficult to deal with. We, as their children, never felt it. They were able to protect us from the things that were happening and move forward with their lives and invest in us and help us and not allow things that had happened in their lives. And they happened to all of us because we were all there, but and then move forward in the right way. And, I think those fundamental building blocks that we learn as children, I think, are with us our entire lives. And, and then from a coaching standpoint, my high school coaches were terrific. I had the good fortune of playing for Jim Barry and Eldon Miller in college. And they really taught me how the fundamental parts of the game are so important, and how you break it down into a lot of small parts. And you have to do that in order to be successful when the game starts. And I probably didn't understand that as a high school player, and I learned that in college. And then I was lucky to work for Rich Glass, who was a head coach at North Dakota, and I was 23 years old. And he let me go. He let me make mistakes. And I think as a coach, one of the things you have to do is you have to allow players to play through mistakes. And Rich allowed me to make some mistakes as a young assistant. He would step in and guide me when he needed to guide me. But he was so good with people, and he was so good with players, and he was so good with boosters. And I couldn't have imagined for where I am now, having worked for a better person to teach me. He wasn't just teaching me how to be successful as a basketball coach. He was teaching me how to be successful as a person because of the way he interacted. It didn't matter if the person he was talking to was someone that had to scrape together the $8 to be able to come and watch us play, or one of our biggest donors that was, had the means to really help our program. He had a way of treating both the same and making them both feel like they were the most important person in the world when he was talking to them. And, that really, I think the combination of all that really set me on the path of who I wanted to be as a coach, where I wanted to go in this profession. And I think at the end of the day, it's really how you treat people and how you appreciate people. And that goes all the way back to when we were children. And I owe my parents a lot for that. And certainly the coaches that have taken the time to help mold me along the way.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, like I said at the beginning, and I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
We'll catch up soon. I look forward to seeing you at practice.
Yeah, later.
All right, take care, mate.
A Hurrdat Sports Network production.